We have the first results already from the US election. The tiny New Hampshire town of Dixville Notch voted at midnight. There's just 6 voters there. This is real left-wing territory. 4 years ago, every voter there voted for Biden, not one for Donald Trump. But this time, Trump and Kamala Harris each got 3 votes, which is ominous for her. Of course, only 6 in all. But that said, many polls, in fact, say that Harris is level with Trump, even ahead. Which, if true, is incredible, that someone so clearly clueless could soon lead the world's most powerful nation. And if that happens, Trump can blame only himself. Well, not just himself. After all, he's had to fight the lying media that's been even painting him as the new Hitler, and he's had to fight Democrat prosecutors misusing their power to try to get him jailed or disqualified. But Trump has at times been chaotic and undisciplined, too crude. And that's the paradox with this bloke. Trump's strengths can be his weaknesses too. Now, most men or women, they'd have walked away rather than be trashed like he's been, threatened with jail, even shot. How arrogant must you be to go through all that? But Trump's arrogance and his reluctance to take advice probably also explains the bad that we've seen in these past 2 weeks in particular. Weeks in which Harris seemed for a while to regain momentum. I was worried. I am worried still. Trump today closed his campaign by hammering the message that should be all he needed to say to win, contrasting his 4 years as president with the 4 years under Joe Biden and Vice President Harris, which gave the US high inflation and some 10 million illegal immigrants.
I'd like to begin by asking a very, very simple and easy to understand question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Does anybody disagree?
Here's the top 3 Trump mistakes that I think have given Harris still a sniff, even though she's a woman so vacuous that she hasn't dared hold one press conference in the entire campaign. First mistake, Trump refusing to say he'd ban a bill from Congress banning abortion.
I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted.
I know such a bill would never happen, but women are now voting overwhelmingly for Harris. Trump was also so arrogant and indisciplined that, for one, he didn't prepare properly for his debate with Harris and repeated crazy urban myths about illegal immigrants that made him look unserious.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
His campaign team also let crazies get too close to Trump, like conspiracy kook Tucker Carlson, who says America is being punished with hurricanes for allowing abortion, or the idiot comedian at Trump's New York rally who insulted Puerto Rican voters just when Trump needs the Latino vote.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there.
Mistakes like these risk turning the election into a referendum just on Trump, as if voters didn't have to consider that if they voted against Trump, they'd get Harris. Now, I still suspect Trump will win, but if he does lose, these are reasons why. Joining me from Raleigh, North Carolina, is Sky News host James Morrow. James Morrow, great to see you. You are in North Carolina. That's one of the battleground states. The 7 states we're told will decide the election. That's in the west. You've got Nevada and Arizona, and then you've got Georgia, North Carolina, where you are, Michigan, Wisconsin, and then the big one, Pennsylvania. What are the polls telling us about those 7 states?
Okay, well, let's go through the big one first here, Pennsylvania. That's the really key one. That's where everybody thinks all the money is. There's 19 electoral votes in that. And if you win that, that allows you so much more play with these other swing states. So the other interesting thing about that, though, Andrew, is because of their peculiar rules, they can't start counting their early and absentee ballots until 7 a.m. the morning after the election. So it could be quite some time before we know what is the result in Pennsylvania. I know this seems insane to Australians, where we have a country of 27 million people, and we managed to get it all done on the night. But there you go. That's Pennsylvania for you. Now, going around the traps with that, I think Nevada and Arizona are the Sun Belt. everybody is saying that's going to be a lock for Trump. Where it gets really interesting, though, is with Michigan and Wisconsin. Wisconsin almost never goes Republican, so if it does, that's a big victory for the Trump campaign. Those two seats there are supposed to go, according to the polls, to the Harris-Walz team, to the Democrats. But at the moment, there's some talk that those could be wiggly here. So if one of those goes, then suddenly that means that Pennsylvania is less important. That also means North Carolina, where I'm in, also expected, according to the average of polls, but 1.5 points advantage for Trump. If that falls away, if something weird happens here, that's less important. And, Andrew, let me throw in a few wild cards for you. Number one, New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes. Sounds like a small amount, but if Trump winds up flipping that, that gives him more of that margin because it's just about getting to 270 votes. And Virginia, 13 electoral votes. Well, again, not likely to go Trump's way. But if there is some sort of sense that, as we say, when the swing is on, the swing is on, if that goes, and it could because, remember, they chose that Republican governor in Glenn Youngkin, then again, this looks like a very different map.
Well, if you judge where a campaign is at by where the candidates are campaigning, I see Harris spending all the final day campaigning in Pennsylvania, 3 rallies there, suggests that she thinks it's all to that one state. Trump is campaigning there as well, but also spending the day in North Carolina and Michigan. So what do those travel plans tell you?
Okay, what those travel plans tell me is that the Harris campaign is definitely nervous about Pennsylvania. She's had 3, as you say, big rallies there, and I think she's closing it out. She closed it out on the steps of the big building in Philadelphia, where Rocky Balboa ran up the stairs in Philadelphia with a whole big celebrity-studded concert, essentially, which has been the theme of her campaign. Her campaign has not been about any sort of ideas or policies or substance. It's really just been about this whole sort of celebrity culture, getting all the singers and actors and everybody out to come out, perform, and make it almost sort of like a variety show rather than a political campaign where there's policy discussed. So I think the Harris campaign is really nervous about Pennsylvania. They must have some internals that are saying, go there, keep that as shored up as you can. I think Trump may be a little more confident in that he can go and play a bit in North Carolina and elsewhere on this last day to keep those in the fold.
How are they finishing these 2 campaigns? I mean, what is the mood? What are the themes? I have been concerned that Trump has had a very ragged last couple of weeks. The momentum was going against him, it seemed to me. And as of yesterday, Kamala Harris seemed like almost now favourite to win. You're hearing today people saying she's favourite to win. What are you sensing?
Look, there was a lot of noise around that poll out of Iowa, the Seltzer poll. Shock, shock poll. Shock poll shows Harris is going to be, the romping in across the country. They took this one poll with some very strange sort of crosstabs suggesting that there were 30-point swings in some female demographics over the course of 4 years to suggest that this was going to be a national problem for Trump. And then everybody sort of calmed down, had a cold drink of water and said, yeah, no, not sure that's going to happen. And then I think the fundamentals of it have come back Trump's way. And remember, too, here's the other thing about momentum. We have an election season now, Andrew, in America. We don't have election day. So much of the vote has already been cast. 80 million votes have already been cast. That's a huge number of votes already been cast. So there's a lot less play in the needle for things at the end of the campaign to shift things one way or the other. So things like that poll or a momentum shift, well, you're shifting momentum with an exhausted pile of ballots.
James Morrow, thank you so much indeed for your time.
Anytime, Andrew. Thanks so much.